You were listening to episode 72 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John. This is Take 2. I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey, everybody. Here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and we point, click, and flick our way through today's Inflation-Deflation Challenge.
Dude, we're going to have a lot of people thinking that is a Harry Potter reference. It certainly is not. It is a little bird reference there for you, though.
So today we'll be checking out Ivy the Kiwi?
Dude.
A little bit later on.
Yeah, that's a good game. I liked it. So we'll have some more on that here at the bottom half of the episode. So give or take, if you just want to skip ahead to that, we don't recommend it, but last 15 minutes of the podcast episode generally. Okay. So let's get started, dude. Pickups this week. It's been pretty interesting, obviously, with all that's going on, to try and find some pickups. And I somehow managed a couple pickups.
Awesome.
So
what you got?
I picked up a loose N64 with no cables, no controller, no lid, no jumper pack, none of that.
Wow.
But I've got some of that stuff set aside anyways, so I'll just find a lid somewhere in my closet here. I picked up Munch's Odyssey on the Xbox, original Xbox.
Have you ever played any of the Oddworld games?
I played an Oddworld game years ago. I guess it was probably, the one on PS1 years ago. Mm-hmm. And that was it. I haven't played any since then, because I think they went Xbox exclusive after that for the longest time. So I think you had Munch's Odyssey, the Stranger's Wrath, and I think that was it, but they were both on Xbox, so I never did play them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I picked that one up complete in box, and randomly enough, so we went to a Goodwill, of course, for these, because where else am I going to go during normal hours?
It's essential.
It is essential. So, yeah, exactly. So, and we'll get more into that in a little bit. But yeah, so we're kind of checking out shelves, all sports games, all crap. I did see a Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time for the ripe price of $50 in their case. Yeah, so they got Ocarina of Time hanging out in a case for $50 at this location. And I end up finding the Oddworld for like $3. It's like an $8 or $9 game. So you're looking at 30% of value. And then I find Woody Woodpecker on the PS2 as well. I think that's Buzzard Park or something. Dude, that game alone is like maybe $12, $13 loose. I got it with the case and the game, no manual, which kind of sucks. But still, like, you've got games like that floating around your shelf for like $3. And then you've got $50 Zeldas. Like the guy.
I'm gonna test your knowledge, John.
Huh?
What do you think price charting is on a loose Ocarina of Time?
$17.
No.
What is it now?
$30.
How the hell is it $30 now?
Complete is $62.
Huh? What was it 2 months ago? Very curious on this. We take a moment to pause.
25.
See, so it's gone up a little bit recently. And you know what? A lot of it probably...
It was 19 back in September 2019.
So not too long ago, it was $19. So yeah, that's probably about the last time I actually checked into it. That's actually a huge jump.
Yeah.
I would probably attribute that more to probably Link's Awakening coming out and, you know, that little bit of hype around Zelda and wanting to get other games. So that's what I would attribute that to. Regardless, still overpriced like hell for a loose copy of Zelda, and the label wasn't even in that great a condition. So yeah, they got that floating around, and then they have N64s floating around for like $20. So yeah, that gives you a Goodwill's pricing model. So that was my pickups. Did you have anything?
I sure did. So this week I got Animal Crossing New Horizons, like tons of people.
Did you actually buy it?
Yep.
Oh, sweet.
Oh yeah, man. I'm having such a good time. I needed something positive in my life, and as soon as I started playing, oh my gosh, the smile that went across my face when I heard them. I'm like, oh yes, this is exactly what I needed.
Just like every Nintendo character's voice ever.
But I screwed up super hard. So anybody who hasn't started New Horizons, I'm going to give you just a little, not even a spoiler thing, because it's before the game even starts. So when you start up, you get to, you know, make your name, make your avatar or your villager, and you also get to choose an island layout. You get 4 different island layouts to choose from. Pick carefully, because wherever you start off, you're not going to be able to get across those rivers right away, and those rivers divide the island usually into 3 or 4 different sections. So make sure whichever area you're going to be starting in is going to be interesting enough to keep your attention for a little while. My first startup, I was super happy. I got like 2 pretty decent looking animal villagers to be on the island with me. I had rolled the penguin and some like golden bear girl, I don't remember her name. I was happy with them. Immediately unhappy with my island. Restarted. And then I restarted about a dozen more times because I hated all of the villagers that it was trying to put me with. So I eventually got lucky, but I guess I'll just transition into what I've been playing. So I've been playing that. I've got Snake, the ninja rabbit, and I've got Pashmina, the goat girl. And they're both awesome. I just got my first house upgrade. I just got the shovel so I can start working on doing some more gathering of materials. I still need to figure out how to get an axe, and then I can start working on building up the shop there. I think it's tremendous to just be able to go in and have like this nice casual thing, because it's like with everything going on in the world and like all the stress of work and life and stuff, man, it was just killing me to wake up and first thing in the morning, it's like, okay, let's do this, Sekiro, and just start my day off absolutely the wrong way.
Hey, man, there was plenty of mornings where I just booted up Sekiro before you would come over to record.
Yeah.
It was just like, all right,
just brutalize yourself for an hour.
Brutalize it, because I have podcasts to look forward to right now, so it'll be fine. Everything will be fine.
Yeah, I did pretty good in Sekiro this week. I beat Gyobu, the big guy on the horse. I beat him on my first go.
That's not bad, dude.
So that gave me kind of a lot of confidence moving forward. Eventually, I was able to chase that bull down. Beat him down.
There's a good level up point there too. So right after you beat Gyobu, there's you can actually climb up. So that's actually a good area to start doing some level grinding early on in the game, right in that section. So you go up across, you go ahead and kill the one guy that's going up the path. You go up, you go around the side where you have like those ninja guys, that are kind of like with the poison and whatnot. I forget their names. But you backstab like 2 of those guys, or all 3 of them, I think, can be backstabbed. Once you knock them out, it's like 370 experience like every go around, or 400 experience every go around. And like early game, that's huge, man. Like you can knock out some pieces to your character by doing that.
Yeah, I've gotten I kind of did a route. I got all of the medical upgrades first, so that I can heal myself better, because that's the one thing I really was feeling, is that like I would heal, and I mean, it would just, all the healing I did would go away in another hit. So it's like I really felt like my healing was only saving me like one more hit, really. And now I feel like I've got 5 gourd seeds. I heal a lot better. I'm starting to really get the hang of the combat more now that I'm trying to focus on blocking more than attacking. Although with those ninjas on the rooftops and most of the other enemies, like,
are you talking about the guys with the pink smoke that have like those boomerang
the crow guys?
Man, they are a pain in the ass,
dude. The thing that I've kind of found is like I kind of hit that point like I did in Bloodborne, where I kind of learned like if I just walk up with my normal attack, I could just spam it until they're dead, and it just about works every time. So with the whirlwind slash that you do, like holding L1 and hitting R1, where you like do the double slash and the twist, if you just do that over and over again, you kind of just destroy almost everybody that I've run into so far, except for now I'm at the like calm blue samurai that do just like the single chop. Like those guys are a little bit tougher now. I'm trying to practice my blocking on them, and I haven't beaten Lady Butterfly, but that's kind of where I'm at with Sekiro still.
If you're having a difficult time with a samurai that's just one chop or whatever, just wait till you get to the boss in that area.
Yeah.
That is a brutal boss to go against.
And then I've also been playing Persona 4 still, so I just rescued Yukiko, and that's like the second castle kind of thing. I'm like 5 or 6 days into the story. I've been playing for like 10 hours or so. I'm just kind of starting to get to the point where the game begins to open up and I start to do social links and have part-time jobs to earn money. starting to kind of get the handle on, okay, doing fusions and how to get new personas and transfer over the abilities. I absolutely love this game. It's so good. It's exactly what, I heard about from everybody. I think that it's so far beyond most other RPGs, especially at the time, because this was originally a PS2 game, and I don't know how much it has in common with Persona 3 as far as like the battle style and stuff, but it makes everything move so swiftly and so easily, and it feels really good to get a handle on all of these things that kind of drive you a little bit crazy in RPGs, but you deal with it because that's just kind of the mechanics of them, and kind of sweep that all to the side. Like I talked about it last week, how easy it is to like upgrade your gear and sell the thing that you had equipped, like just nice little life improvement things like that. And looking forward to getting through more of that soon. I mean, I played a lot of games this week between those 3 games, but I think that, a little bit of Animal Crossing once a day in the morning, and then when I have free time, I can do Persona 4, and Sekiro will just kind of be on the side when I can approach it.
Don't worry. After a while, you'll just be like, I need to go back to Sekiro.
Yeah, I'll start getting there. So that's what I've been playing. What have you been playing, John?
So I forgot to mention in my pickups, by the way, I did get Last of Us Part 2 Collector's Edition pre-ordered. So excited about that. As far as what I'm playing, so I'll start with the one that I'm playing a little bit. So Neverwinter Nights, we're still on Chapter 2. We cleared out another dungeon. And man, I have been hoarding so many items. So we're now at like 47,000 gold in that game, which I don't know if that's like crazy good or what, but at Chapter 2 to have that much gold on hand and some of the items that we do have, like some of the magical items, it's crazy. Like our character is like loaded at level
So like
7.
where do you have to go from there?
So yeah, exactly. So I mean, we'll build up obviously better items over time, but like I've got a 21 or 20 AC right now for my character.
That's pretty good.
Which is not bad at all. Like I had a battle where it was just like they kept missing me, but my dexterity I guess wasn't high enough to hit them, and it was just like back and forth of like missing.
Is there like a fast forward time?
What do you mean?
Like, can you make time go faster so that you can just be like, yeah, instead of...
I don't know. I should look into that because some of those battles are ridiculous. I do kind of appreciate the slowness, though, of the battles, only because it allows me time to, like, heal as necessary. And, I can pause the game and grab, like, a potion and hit it on my character with no issue. So, yeah, my wife and I are having a good time playing that. That's our game that we're playing together right now. And, I mean, it still has those issues, the glitchiness, the bad frame rates, all of that on the Switch. I haven't seen any updates come out for the game that would really indicate that they're resolving those problems, which sucks. So, I forget, Dreamdog, I think is the name of the developer for this. Beamdog. Yeah, well, they can go screw themselves because they obviously released a pretty crappy port on the Switch and they haven't done anything to fix it. And it's been out for quite a while now. So, other than that, I have been playing darts and getting gachapons and drinking sodas and winning with soda cans. Winning forklift races, and traversing my way through the harbor as I try to find Lan Di and the man that killed my father. So Shenmue's been pretty good so far. I'm actually getting a little more into it.
You're
believe
turning?
it or not. Yeah, I mean, it was really, really slow from the get-go, and the audio just really sucked, and it still sucks, but I'm getting a little more accustomed to it. There's some things I just can't get over, like with the forklift racing. The guy Mark, he's like, all right, good morning, everyone. And everyone's like, morning. Let's go ahead and get, it's just like that monotone, like, let's go ahead and get ready for today with a little warm-up race. Like, all right, almost time to go. And he, like, walks away, and you're like, well, that was exciting. Like, come on. So it's been really interesting. I did learn that with the forklift racing, like, my first time around, I was having a lot of difficulty hitting the turns and stuff. Turns out, if I put it into first-person mode, so much easier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude. Like, I have no problem. First person mode's like playing Gran Turismo forklift style. I'm just like zipping around corners, cutting people off. First place, first try doing it. It was crazy. Like, it's so easy when you do it that way. I've even just converted to when I'm lifting the pallets from like warehouse to warehouse, I'm just using first person mode. It feels faster. It seems easier. I can kind of adjust, my cart better or my forklift better to kind of understand where I'm going. And then zipping through people is just so much easier. So
see, sometimes to get through life's toughest challenges, you just have to look through a new perspective.
That was so deep, Ryan. Okay, so Shenmue's been good, and I am towards the end. I'm on day 5 right now of the overall harbor days. I did use a guide for last bit. I'm like, screw this. I just want to get it done quicker. And obviously not spoiling story for myself, but like just to kind of gauge where I was in the storyline. So yeah, I'm on day 5 of the harbor, and then it goes into, I forget the name of it, but the last area where there's like a 70-man battle and all this other crazy stuff going on.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I will pretty soon. I'm towards the end of the game.
Practice your combos.
Oh, I know. I got to practice combos. So I'd say I'm probably another week out from beating it, maybe 2, pending how much gaming time I get this week.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty good. I think I'm in a good position there. So that's really what I've been playing, man. And after this, now that I have the 360 that I picked up last week, pending it working, I mean, I haven't even tested this bad boy yet. But if it works, I have Lost Odyssey coming in the mail. So that was another pickup I don't think I mentioned.
That's such a good game.
So Lost Odyssey's coming in. I also have Blue Dragon on the 360.
That was not reviewed well.
It wasn't reviewed well?
No, it was not.
Well,
I think that's like a 6 out of 10 game.
Well, that's a D, and D is technically passing.
I mean, I remember really looking forward to Blue Dragon when I had the Xbox because there wasn't like a lot of RPGs out there for the 360. And I loved Lost Odyssey, and I just stayed away from Blue Dragon because nobody had anything really great to say about it. But all the promo footage, like, that's one of those games that's like locked in my mind from reading like the spread in Game Informer because it was like the title, the cover page of one issue, and it's like had everything in it. So it's like I remember the visuals of that game super well without ever even playing it.
So yeah, same here. And so I actually have had this copy of Blue Dragon for about, I'd say 7 years now. Like I just bought it on a whim thinking, okay, because it was a good discount. Where I was working, I could get like 30% off generally on what I was buying. So, I got it for like under $10 years ago, complete in box, great shape. I was like, all right, let me buy this now with the full intention of when I get a 360, this is one of the games I want to play. And, for me to get a 360 was I'm going to buy a 360 when they run out of the Red Ring of Death issues, and it's a good console and it's cheap. Well, that just happened last week. So it kind of puts me back to like, do I need to play Blue Dragon as my next game? Do I play Lost Odyssey?
What happened to Ark the Lad?
There's Ark the Lad 3 that I want to play because I haven't beat that series. Like, I'm all over the place right now.
If you guys have any opinions on what John should play next, let us know. Hit us up at the Game Deflators everywhere except for Twitter, where they can't handle just at Game Deflators.
Yep. So Facebook, The Game Deflators, Instagram, The Game Deflators, and then catch us. Our podcast episodes are going to be on really anywhere you can go: Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, iTunes, Podcast Addict, everywhere. Find us on there. So yeah, that brings us to that last article we had last week, where decisions on figuring out what you want to play. There's so many games I want to play, and it's just overwhelming sometimes. Like, you have the option, I guess in a sense you probably feel it too, because you're like, oh, I want to play something, maybe I can go to John's shelf, and you're like, holy crap. Like,
well, there's that, plus I'm playing 3 games right now, and I'm not even using or playing my GameFly game right now. So I think that what I'm going to try to do, because I've been thinking about it, I'm probably not going to play Final Fantasy Remastered more than once before they release the whole series. So since that's going to be coming out, it should be coming out next month, I think I'm just going to send my GameFly in, clear all my queue out, and just put Remastered in there. So hopefully I can get that when it comes out, just be able to rent that first one, and eventually, like you, be able to buy like the Mega Box Collector's Edition that has the entire remaster, and I won't have wasted my money on each of the individual titles as they release.
Yeah, that'd be a good point, man. I'm just like I told you last time, I'm just gonna wait on that. But yeah, I mean, it's overwhelming. I mean, there's a lot of games. I'm looking at like Lunar 1 and 2 right now. I would absolutely love to play those games.
Those are great boxes. Those are 2 of the only boxes that like I've gone over to your shelf and like opened them up and checked all the feelies out and stuff.
Ark the Lad as well. Ark the Lad's the same style box. It's got
I
a
haven't
little
looked into that one though.
Oh yeah,
It was just those two lunar ones because they used to be like right next to me at your old house.
yeah, yeah. Now I mean it just clear view every time. So yeah, tons of great games on the shelf that I want to play, and I just don't have time. So I'm really leaning
But you're
towards.
definitely feeling like a big RPG next.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of along those lines just because what was my last one? Suikoden 2 was my last big RPG. Then I went into Alien Isolation. I'm now playing Shenmue. I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons based RPG, but I wouldn't
Different
consider
type
that.
of RPG.
Yeah,
JRPG versus Western RPG.
Exactly. So I'm feeling Arc the Lad 3. I mean, that would knock out that collection from PS1. I don't have to worry about it ever again. So we'll see.
What you could do is just play the first 30 minutes of each of the games and see which one you feel like you want to continue.
Yeah, that's true. I could play the first 30 minutes. I could pull a Ryan, not beat him. Well, the other option would be just to, there are stores out there that have essential services such as GameStop, where I can probably look for more games.
Yeah.
So let's dig into our news, dude. So GameStop, over the week, a lot of people saw some articles. They were considering themselves essential services because they sell a mouse and keyboard and webcams, which have you ever seen a mouse or webcam and keyboard at your local GameStop?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. They've got the Underglow or whatever. Like the ones that have like the
Afterglow
neon.
stuff?
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
I've never seen keyboards at my GameStop.
I mean, if you count back in the day where they sold the GameCube keyboard controller or the PS controller GameCube.
That's true. I'm gonna do all of my telecommuting from work via PS controller.
Playing real quick. I'm gonna go back to Animal Crossing because a couple things with that. They need to have if your Switch is in the dock, they need to have a full keyboard that you can click either of the Joy-Cons into to have a keyboard, and it would be just like that old GameCube honking thing.
Oh my god, I do remember that.
And then also, I'm pretty sure my right Joy-Con has drift now because it's super noticeable in Animal Crossing compared to like Zelda that I was playing because you didn't really the right thumbstick wasn't doing as much, but it's like I'll open up an item and it's just like spinning in the picture and you control the spin with the right thumbstick, or I'll be trying to type and something will jump over real quick. So it's like, I already sent the left one in. I hope I don't have to send the right one in.
So one thing you can do is just open it up and take a can of air and blow out the dust in there, and that should kind of resolve it for a bit.
Yeah.
So that might help you out.
I need to borrow. I think they have the special lock screw thing that you
I have some.
Yeah. It's
the little 3-prong thing or the screw itself. Yeah, we'll look at mine really quick before you go, but I've got the bits for Nintendo. Cool. I'm always taking apart their consoles. So
back to GameStop, and they're essentially selling.
So essential services of GameStop. So we had all that craziness that happened this week, and actually there was a user on our Facebook. I think it was Barbara, if I'm correct. So she was commenting back and forth with me around it, and one of the things I mentioned was I don't see them continuing to keep their stores open past the weekend. And of course, we got the announcement. I think it was last night. GameStop to close all U.S. storefronts to comply with COVID-19 regulations. So basically, they're going to be moving to curbside and digital service only now.
I mean, that's almost as good. I don't know how they're going to be able to do used games through curbside because you won't really be able to browse what they have. But I think for the most part, it's kind of an okay way for them to continue. I understand GameStop wants to keep making their money, especially because their biggest competitors, I mean, Best Buy, still open. Haven't seen them announcing anything like this. But even if something were to change and they were to pressure GameStop and
Best Buy actually did I got an email today saying that they're doing curbside and digital pickups as well.
So they're on the same level as them. But Walmart, Target, those places have groceries. Those places aren't going to close. They're going to keep being open no matter what. So there's going to be, a difference between these stores that tackle a lot of different needs and these specialty stores that only survive on something that is, trying to be deemed essential, but essentially not. So, I understand they want to stay competitive, but at some point you just got to protect people.
Yeah, and I see it from the side of, they want it, like you said, they want to stay competitive. They want to have, and their employees are working. So, I mean, that's the positive, right? So by staying open.
They are also going to keep paying their employees who don't work.
Only for 2 weeks.
I mean, that's still something.
It's still
that's
something.
Still better than what some places are doing.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. So, but on the bright side, when you look at it, they were trying to keep their stores open. They were trying to make the money while they could. And their employees were actively going to have a job still. And you're going to have people that are telecommuting. Now, there's going to be a lot of job losses. We already know this, that, comes with this, or already are some. So it sucks overall. But, I'm happy that they made the right decision in going through this, process, right? So just pick up only, curbside pickup, that's it. You can buy online, you can have it shipped, I would imagine, but that's all they're doing. And that's fine. But, you brought up a good point, the used games. I absolutely hate buying used games off GameStop's new process. So it used to be where you could, and it comes from a collector standpoint, right? Like just every day, I just want to play a game type of person who doesn't care if it has the manual or the case or anything like that. It drives me nuts, man, when I try to pick up a PlayStation 3 game through GameStop and you get there and it's just a disc.
Yeah.
And it's in their generic case. Like as a collector, it sucks. They used to have it to where you could hold it and then come in and be like, hey, I just put this game on hold. I want to check it out. Okay, it's got scratches, or it doesn't have the manual, or it doesn't have the original case. Okay, I don't want it. Now you can't even hold the game. You have to buy it in advance. You even have to call them and then say, hey, does it have all this? And then half the time they won't even offer a refund over the phone to you. You have to actually go through a corporate team to get it done. And if the corporate team doesn't want to do it, they pretty much just they hold your money hostage for 2 weeks.
Wow.
Until the pickup time, like it's a 2 week period, 1 or 2 week period where you just don't have access to that money and it just sits there. So I could buy $100 in games and none of them are what I want, and they won't do a refund unless I go in store. So we'll see how this all progresses over time. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of
Are they going to do curbside trade-ins? Where you hand them a bag and they go inside, tally it all up, come out and tell you how much it's worth?
Yeah, how are they even going to do that? Like, they thrive off of used games. So are they going to end up having like lower inventory of used games? Or are they going to ship them out? Like, how does that work?
There's a tremendous amount of people who, if they need a new game right now and like they're dying for Animal Crossing and they're going to risk it all for Doom Eternal and go out into the world and try to get it, and all they have is a stack of old PlayStation 3 games that they're not sure how much it's worth, but they've only got $20 real and they hope they've got $40 in trade-in. Like those people are only going to be able to go to GameStop to get what they want. Like that's the only thing they really have over those competitors who are going to stay open no matter what.
Yeah, and one thing for people that are kind of curious of what they're going to get for GameStop, you can actually, on their website, they have, if you just type in like GameStop Trade, there's actually a functionality on our website where you can plug in like iPhones, consoles,
they
controllers.
Got like a calculator?
Yeah, they actually have it. Now, it doesn't like fully take everything. It's like game by game. But you can find a game on there and say, okay, well, how much does my copy of Super Mario Bros. On the SNES go for? You plug it on there, and it'll actually give you the pro member price, the regular member, and then it has trade-in versus cash. So I've used that plenty of times, and then you combine it with their promotions, and you generally get a good bit. Hence that time I traded in those Xbox controllers, which now I wish I had Xbox 360 controllers laying around. So, yeah. Okay. So anything else you got on that, man?
That's good for that. But next up, we've got, what is it? Sony going after Dreams creations that use Nintendo IP at the request of Nintendo. So for everybody who's not out there trying to buy new games, but they're in Dreams, trying to make new games, trying to bring their, the things in their mind to life through this powerful new game creation, game tool thing that's out there. We talked about Dreams, I think, a few weeks ago, and all of the, different people that are making games using custom assets that they themselves have created that are directly ripped off of existing IPs. I mean, there's tons of Sonic games, Mario games, all that stuff. So now Nintendo has asked Sony to take down anything using Nintendo IPs, and that's impacting the community. I mean, these people are making new games that are original. I mean, they might be recreating other games, older levels and stuff, but, they're using this engine and making it themselves. I'm pretty sure there's no way that they're making money off of it. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Unless there's like the recordings of those games being played and there's a monetary value off that. But doesn't Nintendo kind of already work with YouTube to take down videos that are monetized based on their IP anyways?
Well, that's hard to tell because, I mean, how many people do, gaming reviews and stuff on YouTube that have monetized?
Yeah, but I'm thinking like a playthrough, right? Like, oh, watch me play my Super Mario World level on Dreams and then monetize that. Like, that I can see being an issue because it's using their IP for financial gain.
Made. But if no money's being made, if this is just people making stuff and trying to use their, favorite IPs as assets to bring attention to their work or to show what they can do within that system, like trying to do basically like a Mario Maker without the Mario Maker itself there, like that's ambitious. And I feel like this is just going to ultimately wind up stifling the creativity of the next generation of game developers. Like, this isn't like, an easy thing to do. Like, to do this, you got to have like time and dedication and all the cream of the crop up at the top. Like, those are people who are going to eventually move on to make their own games and work in the industry and do stuff. Like, giving them the leeway to be able to identify their work with these popular IP characters and settings and stuff, like, it is impeding on the IP, but as long as they're not making money off of it, I don't see why it should be such a problem. But it hasn't stopped Nintendo from taking down Pokemon Uranium and another Metroid 2 remake, AM2R. Like, they took both of those down. And those weren't making money either. They were drawing from the IP and using the copyright, though. Well,
I guess kudos to Nintendo in a sense for being consistent,
Well, you have to. If you don't consistently defend your copyright, you lose the ability to defend it.
Exactly. So they've been so consistent over the years. So kudos to them for actually sticking to it. While I don't always agree with what they're doing, and something like Dreams, I mean, you're right. It's their creation. Like, these are people that are actively making these creations, and it's not like it looks exactly like Mario to a T. It's a variation, and it's not like it's a full game. It's just
and you're not going to fool anybody going into a game on PlayStation and playing a game made in that game featuring Nintendo. Like, obviously nobody's going to get confused that it's real.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to run into that situation. And the other thing to consider here too is it's additional exposure for Nintendo's product. Like, why not work with Sony and say, hey, we want to help out. We want to give you something to put into this game to make it interesting. Maybe unlockables, or, maybe they can have music and pre-purchase it, through Dreams DLC. Like, there's things that they can do to really like kind of, not only monetize it on their own, but get that exposure and get that like lack of, remove the negativity that surrounds them every damn time somebody makes something using, a Nintendo IP or does their own creation. Nintendo always shuts it down and creates their own damn thing from it anyways. They rip off the person that created it.
Yeah, and Nintendo wants people to be able to make Mario levels. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made 2 Mario Maker games. And like, nobody's ever going to do something so innovative in a Mario Maker that it like really gets anybody's attention because it's got groundbreaking new stuff. Like, you could do a lot of really cool things in Mario Maker, and some people have really pushed those limits. But with a system like Dreams where you can really change things and make things your own, like, it could give Nintendo a look in on, oh shit, look what these people are doing with Mario. We could do that, or we could hire this person to do that. Like, it could be a good system for, farming out ideas.
Yeah, I agree with you, dude. And it's really a shame that Nintendo does this all the time, but it is their IP. It is their, their imagery and their content. Not content necessarily, but it's their characters, and they do hold the right through the likeness of those characters. So, I mean, I agree, but at the same time, I can kind of see where Nintendo's coming from, and I can kind of side with them in those respects of, it's their stuff, and they can deem how it gets used and who uses it. So Yeah, enough on that. I mean, we've heard about this numerous times in the past. It is interesting though to see it happening with Sony actually like actively going out and saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
we're removing these because it goes against Nintendo policy."
It's the first time they've worked together since the Nintendo PlayStation.
It's kind of sad. So speaking of Sony, I've been kind of vocal on this, at least online. Sony has definitely dropped the ball on its PS5 rollout so far.
Another week with actually some updates on the PS5. We actually learned something new this week, and it kind of bummed people out and wasn't exciting. John was there to watch the whole thing, and I just heard about the aftermath. So John, tell us what your impressions were watching this speech.
Cerny is probably the most boring individual I've ever heard speak. Now, here's the thing. Let's draw a line here, because there's going to be people listening and people reading our, comments and everything else. They're saying, well, it was a tech release. It wasn't.
It was supposed to be a GDC, which was canceled, which, is for developers. Like, it's not all the flashy E3 footage that we're expecting. But it's just been so long, people were kind of like, what are they going to show? They're going to show something.
Yeah, and, at the same time, you would think they would reveal, what the damn thing looks like. It was spec related, right? And it was very technical jargon, and it was really deep on the tech side of things. And, what is the SSD and how many teraflops and all the things that we really want to know in terms of power and its ability. And that gets broken down by the media and other people that are, really engaged in that. My whole thing was it was just a boring presentation. There's ways to make things exciting. Microsoft has made their Xbox Series X exciting. They released images of their console. They've gone ahead and said what the specs are. They had announced backwards compatibility. Their press releases, their tech releases, everything has been like great.
And every time they talk about something else, something new, something more. They build, but it's like every time we see an article on PlayStation 5, it's about how there is no new information.
Exactly.
And we still don't know anything.
And so, like, Microsoft, I'm not a big Microsoft fan. And there's people saying, well, you're just being a pain in the ass because, Sony's going to release their stuff here pretty soon. And they'll have, it's not announcement season or anything else. I'm sick of hearing announcement season from people. Like, Sony has been so slow out of the gate. Microsoft was back 2019 showing stuff about their console. They've been talking about it. They're getting people excited about this thing. Sony has shown us a logo, and they've given us an extremely, extremely boring presentation on technical specs. And while developers are excited about that, sitting through that presentation, listening to it, there's ways to make that thing exciting, right? There's ways to show, different game footage that maybe is being developed right now.
Was there any footage shown?
The only thing that I saw was when they showed they gave examples of Spider-Man cityscapes and how the loading time of those cityscapes would be they showed how it looked on the PS4 versus the PS5. They didn't show footage. They just showed the overall
stills?
Stills of the top of a city, a map, where you have the blue and stuff and you can see the streets. It was like that, and it just showed, well, when Spider-Man turns around, this loads up, and during certain periods of time, the SSD will have the ability to pre-render and load behind the character. So when you turn around, it's done. It's ready to go, which is awesome. That type of stuff is super exciting. The presentation itself was so dull. It was the equivalent of going into a college lecture and just falling asleep because it was just too technical and there wasn't enough buildup. And the way that Cerny presented, while he knows his stuff and he's a fantastic, guy in the industry, he knows what he's talking about, he's not the type of guy you need up there, to kind of, especially in this situation, right? If it was behind closed doors at GDC and it was, you had some members of the media, but it wasn't public.
They should have adapted the presentation with the change of venue and audience.
The second that this became a public type of situation where it was going to be broadcast on YouTube and other areas, at that point, they should have adapted and said, okay, Cerny's great, but we need to
pump it up.
Yeah, we need to amp this up a little bit, right? We need to have some in-game footage for the public. We need to show the logo. We need to get people excited for what's going to be coming. Yeah, we've seen game footage for certain stuff already, but there's more than just those little trailers. There's other stuff they could have shown. And while everybody says, well, it's not announcement season, I get that, and I totally get this was a technical presentation meant for GDC, but it's a poor job on Sony's part to not adapt to the situation and go ahead and make it more exciting. Because right now, I'm probably more excited about the Series X than I am the PS5. And that's sad.
Yeah.
Because I've been following Sony for years.
Well, and the new announcement that we did get that, was rumored, we got some confirmation about backwards compatibility. Now, in the talk, they said that the top 100 PS4 games will be available for backwards compatibility at launch, with plans to move forward to expand that library. Now, they're not going to just outright say every PS4 game will be backwards compatible or every PS3 game will be backwards compatible. Like, there's limits to what they'll be able to do, and it won't probably ultimately be every game. But people are really bummed about that news. I don't really get it. Like, I think that when the PS5 comes out, are you really going to be that excited to play like the 300th most popular PS4 game on your brand new PS5? Like, no. Like, the top 100 should do at launch, especially because like new console, new games. Like, you're not going deep dive into the backlog for your first game out on a PS5. Like, I think that we'll be okay. I think we'll get through it. I think people are a little bit over judging Sony, but I think that this is also just another example of how conservative they're being with their numbers, and it just doesn't make sense. I mean, especially how many times we've talked about other articles, like Sony should be on top of this with confidence. Like, they're the dominant force in the gaming industry right now.
Yeah, they should
true
be
leader. More bold with their statements and releases, but they're still waiting. Hopefully it's all worth the wait, but it is tough to see, week after week, announcement after announcement just doesn't really do anything to pick them up. Like, they're not helping themselves.
Yeah, and by all means, all of this isn't doom and gloom for Sony. The console will do well. It's going to sell well, provided that it has everything that we would want, and we have all these great games that are released, like the PS4. PS4 is
That's
highly
what it's going to come down to, is the games.
The PS4 is highly successful. The PS2 is successful. The PS3 was even successful, beating out the 360 over time. PS1 was successful. So they've had success every generation. It's just they're not hyping it up enough, right? Mm-hmm. They're not really giving us what we want as consumers. And when you run into a situation where you have things like the Xbox Series X, which is really Microsoft's pushing it hard because they failed so hard on the Xbox One. Nintendo is going to be coming out the gate strong with all of their stuff and all of their IP stuff. So Sony really isn't like, while they are the dominant force, it's not like they don't have anything to worry about. They have other competitors out there. Now, to your point, though, on backwards compatibility, so I want to say I posted an article on our Facebook page that said something like all PlayStation 4 up to 4,000 PS4 games were going to be backwards compatible.
Eventually. That came out after this talk, I think, was them trying to be like, whoa, we don't mean just 100.
Yeah, they ended up saying...
I didn't even know there were 4,000 PlayStation 4 games.
Well, I guess
if you take into account, like, arcade...
Well, PAL region, all that stuff,
indie titles.
Yeah, you got PAL indie titles. You have, obviously the normal releases. Looking at my shelf, I don't have a lot of PS4 games.
Yeah.
Although I think most of them are in this corner.
Yeah.
So I would say that, in terms of backwards compatibility and the importance of it, they did say that they're planning, even in the cheaper consoles down the road, they're planning on supporting backwards compatibility, which is very different from the PlayStation 3, which got rid of that backwards compatibility for just PS2. You can still play PS1 on your PS3. I think all games except like maybe a handful you can't play on the PS3. So it's good to see that up front they're saying, look, we're going to support PS4 backwards compatibility all the way through, no matter what. And yeah, it's not just limited to 100. You're going to have more than that. And I think the importance of it is allowing people to transition to the PS5, right?
Yeah,
so
they're going to have that grace period.
Exactly. So it gives me an opportunity as a buyer to say, I want to buy a PS5. I might have like one PlayStation 5 game, but I have all of these PlayStation 4 games.
It lets people be able to trade in their PS4 also without feeling like,
Exactly. So you have the PS4 being able to get traded in to go towards the PS5. It gets people wanting to buy that console. You've got a backlog of games that you could still play, so it's not like I have nothing to play.
Now, if you have a backwards compatible console, John, like as a collector, do you feel like you still want to own that previous console, or if you have a console that'll play the games, like, are you more into the games or the consoles?
So I'm more into the games personally. The PlayStation 1 is one that I don't play anymore. It's just it's pointless for me to play a PS1 when I can play a PS2. And then even so, my PS1 games I play on the PS3.
Mm-hmm.
I have this 500 gigabyte Slim, I think, that I play them on. So that's usually what I do. PS2, obviously, I have to play it on a PS2. I have no choice in that matter. So I would say backwards compatibility for me is pretty important because I don't want to have to go through 3 different consoles to play my games. I don't want to have my PlayStation 1 hooked up to play PS1. I don't want to have my PS2 hooked up.
You want
to
just
play
the
that.
ease of access.
Yeah, the ease of access. Now, I have those consoles. They're still in my collection, but I don't use them.
But are you going to keep your PS4? Even if you don't have to?
I don't know. That's actually a good point because like I have a PS3 still, obviously because I play a lot of PS3 games and I play PS1 on it. But I might,
because I have 2 PS4s and I don't really feel the need to keep my Slim when we have the Kingdom Hearts one.
The PS4 might be a situation where it gets put into like another room or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, man.
It's still a great media device, although most TVs can do most of the things your PlayStation can.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to transfer data and all that stuff too. I mean, it'd be a whole hassle. I don't know. I mean, that's kind of early to ask. I would likely continue playing the PS4 at least a year or 2 into the PS5's life cycle when things have kind of died down in price point and it's a little more affordable, even though we don't know the price yet. It's just not something I'm going to buy right away. I was playing PS3 games up until the PS4 Pro. So it doesn't bug me to not have the most recent console. Well, we talked a lot about PlayStation, dude. Let's get into our inflation deflation this week. Definitely had a lot of fun. So we played Ivy the Kiwi. And Ivy the Kiwi was developed by Prope, who I'd never heard of. The publisher is Xseed, at least for the US. Designer was Yuji Naka. And it was released on August of 2010.
That's the version we played, the Wii version.
Okay, yeah, the Wii version itself. So Ryan was actually telling me there is a Windows mobile version that was released.
It started off as a Windows mobile game released back in 2009 in Japan, and then in 2010 it came to American Windows Mobile and eventually ported over to Wii and Nintendo DS, and then 2 years later to iOS in North America. So this is an interesting platform game. It reminds me kind of Kirby's Epic Yarn, where you got a character who's going to be auto moving, and then you have to draw lines under them to guide them up and around the platforms that they are going to be going through. But instead of like just drawing a line, it's a tensioned vine. So you place the vine where you start, drag and drop it to where you want to stop. And you can only stretch that so far or it's going to snap. You can pull down on it to launch Kiwi through the air like a spring. And you can only place like 3 vines at a time. So it's a lot of, guiding around and up and down like block stairs and stuff, because the character, if they hit a wall, will turn around and begin going the other direction. That's basically the controls. It felt pretty good. I feel like it would have been better on a DS maybe, although the Wii does have the highest reviews. So
and it is the highest price as well. So it makes you wonder why. I don't have it on the DS. I could get it to see what the differences are. But yeah, to your point, it was reviewed much better on the Wii. I think 7.5 is the highest on that. So I would say the controls in my mind were pretty good. You get used to it after a while.
It's basic. There's not a lot going on as far as we got into the game. Like we really hadn't even hit the point where we had enemies. It's still just obstacles and spikes.
Are there enemies in it?
It's said during the tutorial for the part where it shows you how you can pull the vines and launch.
Oh, because you spiral and you can hit enemies.
So you can destroy blocks and enemies, it said. So we hadn't really run into enemies.
We got to what, chapter 3 in this game?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got actually relatively far in a good 30-minute time period. It's an easy game.
It's easy, sort of. So in this game, you've got short levels, and like I said, you're guiding Ivy through these levels, but there are feathers. There's 10 feathers in each level that you pick up by guiding her to walk through them. Now, those feathers, if you ignore them and just go straight to the end, it's super easy, not really even that challenging. Trying to get all those feathers and get through like the more difficult obstacles, that's where the challenge of this game is definitely going to come into play. So you can kind of choose your own difficulty based on how much you want to collect, but it's really not much of a game so far as we got without trying to collect those. Just going through the levels just is not interesting.
Yeah, and it's really, the graphics on this game, while they're nice, it's got
a sketchy style.
Yeah, but it's kind of bland though. It's all like light brown, and it's really browns and whites.
It's very unicolor.
Yeah, there's not a
monotone.
whole lot. Yeah, there's not a whole lot going to it.
Stupid.
But it looks good. I mean, it's not a bad game by all means.
I think it would look better on the DS too.
Well, I wouldn't say look better, because I would think graphically it's going to be better on the Wii.
Well, yeah, but sometimes, those looser art styles are going to look better on a smaller screen, especially since this was a port of a mobile game, essentially.
True. I mean, and we did play it on a 4K TV, so it does, well, we play on a Wii U, so I don't know if it upscales at all. I would say this would actually have benefited from being on the Wii U, being able to use that tablet.
Being on the tablet, I think, would have been good, but I mean, this was still back in Wii day.
Yeah. And it was still a good game. I did enjoy it. We'll go over to price here in a minute, but the colors were good, the controls were good, the music was good, and the overall concept was good.
Yeah.
I would say a 7.5 review is, probably not, where I'd probably put it closer to an 8 in my mind, just in terms of what we got out of it, how easy it was to play, and it's a game that you can kind of just pick up and play. You don't have to get really involved, and, it's puzzle-based in a sense, so it was fun. I liked it.
So breaking down the price, we've got complete inbox is $37.30 right now. That peaked back at $67.45 in June of 2017, and it's been at a pretty steady clip since then. Now loose, $26.24, peaking at $49.06 back in December 2016, also holding steady. The most expensive version is going to be the North American complete in box, and the cheapest version is the PAL DS, which is $441 loose. So this is a pretty, pricey game compared to, some things we
compared to what I bought
on average. And I don't know. I mean, that's some pretty solid value. I just think that from what we played of it, I don't really need to play anymore. And I mean, if you're a big Yuji Naka fan and you really like all of his work, I can see maybe from that niche collector's point of view, or from, I guess anybody trying to complete like a specific library, like a Wii library or a DS library, like I can see how this being like an essential, like mid-range price piece could make it, do I really need it now? Do I want to push it back for later? I think that this is definitely a collector's only game and not really worth it for somebody who just wants to check something out. I think we got enough out of it that I don't feel compelled to play it again, and I wouldn't feel compelled to spend $37 on it.
I wouldn't either. I think I bought this game for $4.50.
That sounds like a way better price.
I wouldn't say it's worth that. It's worth more than that for sure. I would put this game in the $15 range.
That's probably what it would be worth on a mobile app.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like, at most, if I saw this game, $15 complete in box, like I would never spend close to even 20 on this.
Mm-hmm.
Like that just, I'm light years away from the top of this point, and even 67. God, man, those suckers got hit hard at $67. But this game was like $4 back then. And this was during a period of time that I was going around stores specifically looking for Wii games. Because having gone through the whole issue of, PlayStation 2 games going up in price, I knew that this was a situation that once the Wii games became unavailable at GameStop, which are still available, but once it became unavailable in that mass quantity, we were going to run into a situation where games like this, which have no business being $67 to $37, would exist.
Yeah, this jumped way up. Like it was April 2016 where this like made its jump. Like it was hovering around like 15.
That's
a little
about when
under
I
15.
That's about when I bought it. When it was $15 was the value.
Yeah, and then just like by May, it's spiked up to like over double, and then it has come back down substantially since then in the last couple of years. But man, it is this is a crazy,
So, dude, like,
weird title because it's like I've never even heard of this game.
yeah, well, if you look at a lot of my Wii games that I have here, you know, I've got Ju-On, you know, not really a common title. You've got Klonoa up there, Chocobo's Dungeon. You know, you've got Fragile Dreams. Like, I have almost all the RPGs that were released on the Wii. These are all games that I picked up a long time ago when they were at like rock bottom prices because this would happen. It always happens for these consoles. And so, yeah, like Ivy the Kiwi is just one of those like random buys. It was like $5. It's not a super common game. It looks interesting. Let me pick it up. And lo and behold, it went up in value. So, yeah, that's where we're at on it.
So we're gonna say that. I mean, I'm gonna say that I think it's wildly inflated because the complete in-box, what I would pay for, is worth less than what the loose price
Yeah, same
is
here.
going for now. Like you said, I mean, $20 seems steep. 15 sounds about right. Like neither of those are even really options. So I mean, maybe this is not something to get on the Wii. Maybe this is something to pick up on the DS on the cheap if you just want to check the game out.
Well, that's if the gameplay is the same. So we haven't played it. I mean, it would have to be literally the exact same
I would
game.
assume that it is.
I wouldn't.
Because it's got the same, like, just point, click, drag. Like, you could do that with a stylus, just like you can do it with the Wiimote. And it was based on a touch interface on phones.
It was, but some Wii games that have versions on the DS and 3DS are just not the same.
Yeah.
They differ so much. So if it's the same exact game on the DS, then yeah, go for a DS version of this 100%. But if you want to check it out, obviously, as far as the Wii is concerned, I'm right there with you, man. Highly inflated, totally not worth that price
right
point.
here on the wiki, Wii and Nintendo DS versions offer the same basic gameplay and level designs, with the main difference being controls. Wii version, the player points at the screen and draws vines, while a Nintendo DS player uses a stylus. So yeah, it's the exact same game.
In that case, buy it on a DS. Totally not worth it on the Wii for that price point. Highly inflated. It's
highly inflated. We need like a new category for when it's so inflated that we wouldn't even pay
It's a balloon-
the loose price.
It's a balloon popping. That's what it is. It's a balloon popping. So yeah, definitely buy on the DS.
bursted.
Yeah. So next week, given all of the fear surrounding the world currently, we're going to play Cold Fear on the PS2.
Fear the cold.
Fear of the Cold. This is actually not a common title. I want to say I picked it up for like maybe $8 at most, maybe less.
$6.99.
No, maybe. No, you see that white price tag? Is that a GameStop price tag?
No, the yellow one is.
Okay, let me see it really quick. No, it's not. Yeah, you know, I probably paid about $6.99. That's about right.
Okay.
You know, when I got it, I know where I got it. I got it from my old work.
So next week, yeah, Ubisoft's Cold Fear.
Yeah, not a common title, so we'll see. Well, that being said, you are listening to you have listened to episode 72 of the Game Deflators Podcast. Catch us on Podcast Addict, all the podcast applications, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And my name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening.